Am I wrong for telling my sister that she should have gone to college if she wanted a life like mine? My sister and I are twins, 33 female. We come from a culture where arranged marriages are an option. Mostly they are blind dates set by a matchmaker. And if you're compatible, you marry. When we both graduated high school, my sister, who by the way was valedictorian, chose not to attend college. She asked for an arranged marriage since all she wanted to be was a wife and a mother. Nothing wrong with that. My parents, who are a love match, tried to convince her to at least get her bachelor's. She refused. I, on the other hand, started attending an engineering college. I studied computer engineering. A year later, she married a man that she met through the matchmaker. He's a very nice guy, a teacher, and treats my sister like a queen. The thing is, he was just a freshly hired teacher. My sister went from living in a double-income house with parents both being high earners, a doctor and a lawyer, to a single-income house on a teacher's salary. I graduated at 23, started working as a cybersecurity personnel for a big bank. After 2 years of dating around, I too asked for an arranged marriage. My husband is a business owner, real estate developer, and he makes a lot more than I do. He also comes from money. My sister didn't like him from the get-go. She even threw a tantrum, thankfully in private, at my wedding. Apparently, the bride gifts he brought were tacky. More like very expensive, more than what her husband could get her. The problem is that my first child is now at the age where she'll be starting preschool. We signed her for a private school. The monthly tuition is more than what her husband makes a year. When she heard this, she just exploded. She was ranting about how it's not fair that our kids will not have equal opportunities. How the only reason I could live like I do was that my parents chose a better husband for me. I became angry for how she treats me, how unfair she was to her husband and my parents. I told her I got matched with a better husband because I am a college-educated woman with a respectable job, and that wealthy men using matchmakers don't want 19-year-old high school graduates. Their standards are higher. I told her that her husband is a wonderful man who loves her, but if all she wanted was a wealthy man, she should have gone to college. Now she has no contact with me and says I'm an elitist asshole. So, am I?
Something you should know about me is I love Jersey Shore. I have been a loyal fan to the show Jersey Shore since I was in 6th grade. This shirt right here, it's the note that was written to Sammy about Ron, okay? I don't know what it is. That group of people is just elite to me. Well, I'm in the airport in Wisconsin, of all places, and who walks by me? Oh, just my favorite cast member of the Jersey Shore, Pauly D. What do? Nothing. I'm immobilized. I sit there frozen, shocked. I couldn't say anything to him. Well, I beat myself up for weeks after that. I'm like, damn it, I'm never gonna see Pauly again. So I tell my friend what happened. Now, this is not an ordinary friend. It's JoJo Siwa. So JoJo has some pull. I tell her all about this story, how I'm never gonna get to see Pauly again, and what does she do? Oh, she just has Pauly send me a personalized message like, yo, what up, it's Pauly D, hey Kirby. And I'm like, I could die happy now. Thank you, JoJo. I just thought that was the peak of my life. Well, fast forward a few months, I'm out to lunch with JoJo and a few friends. All of a sudden, JoJo gets quiet. I'm like, did I just offend JoJo? Because it was in the beginning of our relationship. I'm like, well, shit. I've obviously said something to offend JoJo because she's giving me this weird silent treatment. What does JoJo do? She turns her cell phone around, and on FaceTime is none other than Pauly D himself. And I'm like, Pauly, like, listen, I didn't expect to meet you in no makeup and overalls, but I just love you. That was the peak of my existence. My wedding, good luck topping it. My firstborn, your name is probably going to have to be JoJo in honor of JoJo giving me the greatest gift of life. If there's ever a fan episode of Jersey Shore and I'm not on it, I need to be on the fan episode. I know they're going to do it one day.
We're sitting here having smoothie bowls. I was talking about my love for you.
Story time on how I got fired from Ulta. I know y'all are like, girl, you just had the interview. What happened? And then I mentioned it was before my first day. So as most of you know, about a month ago, I went in for the interview. And the interview went well. Like, we hit it off and everything. She was showing me the break room, the back room, where they keep their food, their lockers. I'm like, y'all show that to all your interview candidates? So I'm thinking like, okay, I'm in there. A couple days later, I did receive a call saying that I received the job, but the hiring manager was out of town, so I had to wait till she got back. So fast forward to like last week, I'm in the mall, doing mall things, shopping. Shopping make you hungry. So at the end of my mall trip, I decided to go get me something from the food court. So I finished ordering and I reached down for my lanyard so I could pay for my food, and it's not there. Now connected to my lanyard is like, it's the thing that goes around your neck and it has a wallet connected to it, and my keys were on it too. my ID, my cards, my entire life was on that lanyard. So I literally go throughout the entire mall searching frantically for my lanyard. I go through every store I was in. I went to security. I tried to check the cameras. I tried to do everything to find that lanyard. Like, on top of that, I was just mad at myself because it was like, I know things happen, but at your big age, you losing your keys in the mall of all places. In the midst of me frantically looking for my keys, my phone rings, and lo and behold, guess who it is? It's Ulta. I mean, their timing couldn't have been any more terrible. They're basically saying like, hey, they wanted me to come in and put my information into the system. I had to bring 2 forms of ID. My ID was probably sitting in somebody's pocket by now. So I was explaining the situation to them, basically saying I didn't have 2 forms of ID and I also didn't have my car keys in order to get there to put my name in the system. It's like, oh, you can just bring your passport and I'm like, you're not understanding. How am I gonna get there? On top of my passport being expired and I don't even know where it's at. So all I was asking for was a day, maybe 2, just to replace the items that I misplaced. We ended the phone call with some okay. So I'm thinking like, it's okay. Like, yeah. I get an email not even 5 minutes after we hung up the phone saying, we've decided to go with other candidates. What? I mean, I called, sent emails after that, because I'm like, are you kidding me right now? When I tell you they ignored me, I was like, okay. I was very disappointed because it was just like a terrible chain of events. But anywho, I like to think that that means God's plans for me are far greater than Ulta Beauty, and that is okay with me.
How is someone gonna call you and be busy? Ma'am, you dialed my number. What? My mom called me and then goes, is talking. And I'm like, huh? Did I butt dial? No, you called me. And she goes, 1 second, 1 second. I'm like looking at her like this on FaceTime. And then she's like, I'm teaching our sister how to drive. So now's not a good time to have a phone call. Like, why did you call me? Anywho, I'm like, y'all at a drive-thru? Looks like you got a drive-thru. Pick me up some Taco Bell. And then she says, no. There's food at home. You're fine. I'm like, oh, okay. This is the food she's talking about. Freaking top ramen. So I go downstairs. I heat this hoe up. And she calls me again. What's your Taco Bell order? Cheese quesadilla with 2 crunchy tacos, please. Like, I just made food, but I'm not going to say no. This is an appetizer. This is a warm-up. This is a snack. I'm over here thawing out an Uncrustable back there, right there. You gotta pull that hoe out of the freezer a little bit early.
I'm Leonardo. One day while making myself pasta for dinner, my stepmother called me for help from the front door. Leonardo, come here quick! I removed the pasta from the stove and hurried quickly to see what she needed. She had just arrived from her shopping trip holding 1,000,000 bags. 3 taxis are waiting outside to be unloaded. Go get those shopping bags. Chop chop. They don't have all day. Every time my dad got his paycheck, my stepmom would go shopping and spend every penny. She bought so much stuff, she had to take several taxis home to carry it all. My stepmother is a shopaholic who buys things uncontrollably. It's a severe mental health issue. Compulsive buying disorder is the medical term for it. She gets anxiety attacks when she doesn't shop. Her face gets flushed and her palms get sweaty. She starts pacing around the house panicked. My dad has taken her to see so many doctors over the years. They all diagnosed her as a shopaholic. However, my stepmom refuses treatment each time, saying, I'm not sick. I just like shopping like any other woman. To support her bad habits, she needs money. My poor father has to work 3 jobs to support her spending. My dad is a barber by day, a hotel receptionist by night, and a weekend flea market vendor. He has to work every single day of the week so that my stepmom can keep shopping. After bringing all her new shopping bags inside, I shuffled back to the kitchen to finish making dinner. My dad came home just as I sat down to eat. He looked exhausted. There were black circles under his eyes. I felt terrible for him. When he saw me, he closed his eyes and gave me a smile. This smells so good. Don't tell me. I'll guess the ingredients from the smell. This is pasta pomodoro, he said. Of course, he was right. Did you make your grandmother's or your mother's recipe? He asked. My mom's recipe, of course. She was the one who taught me how to cook. I always follow her recipes. Ready to dig in? I asked. My dad replied, Nah, I'll get a snack at the hotel. I just came home for a change of clothes. He turned and left me alone in the kitchen. Ready to dig in? I asked. My dad replied, Nah, I'll get a snack at the hotel. I just came home for a change of clothes. He turned and left me alone in the kitchen. We lost my mom when I was 12. Our family is originally from Italy. My mother used to cook traditional dishes at home every day of the week. As a small kid, I used to find cooking rather dull. Mom taught me otherwise. She would say, "These dishes are a gift from our ancestors. We need to pay our respects to them by passing these recipes to the next generation." She taught me how to cook, and I memorized every recipe by heart. 3 years after my mom passed away, my dad remarried. Unlike my mom, my stepmom never cooks. She always orders out, which usually isn't a problem since I cook for myself. I make the fabulous dishes my mom passed on to me. When I walked into the kitchen, I saw my dad making an omelet one morning. He served it to me saying, "This might not be as good as the ones you make, but it's not so bad either." He then collapsed on the floor suddenly. "Dad! Dad!" I yelled as I jumped up from my seat. I called 911 immediately, doing my best not to panic as I told them what had happened. The ambulance arrived minutes later, and the paramedics took my dad away. As I was getting ready to leave, my stepmom woke up from her nap upstairs. "What's going on? You made such a racket. I couldn't sleep because of you," she complained. I told her what had happened. Can you guess the first thing she said? "But he has to go to work. If he can't work, you should start looking for a job." I got so mad I didn't say anything to her. I rushed to the hospital as soon as possible and found out how my father was doing. When I made it there, Dad was just waking up. The doctor said his immune system was on the verge of collapse because of extreme fatigue. He was ordered to stop any physical activity and rest for at least 3 months to recover fully. When we got back home, my stepmom found out my dad wouldn't be able to work for the next 3 months, and she was furious. She turned to me screaming, "You're not going to school anymore. Find a job and get to work. I need money. I need a lot of money." My stepmom began having a panic attack, overwhelmed by the need to go shopping. She snatched the last few bills from my dad's wallet and ran out. I started looking for a job the next day. I applied at a pizza place and landed an interview. Thanks to my mom, I landed the job. The restaurant owner tasked me with making pizza dough during the interview. He was so impressed with how I handled the dough that he said, "You were born to do this, my friend," and he hired me on the spot. My stepmom took all of my money at the end of the first month. After counting it, she said, "Is this it? You'd better find a second job where you can work nights so I can maintain our standard of living." When he heard this,